Now, let me tell you that this problem took me, and I'm not exaggerating, 10 hard minutes of using the trig properties of sine and cosine, and even geometry, if you believe it. So, let's get started. We have to find the value of 10 of 9 minus 10 of 27 minus 10 of 63 plus 10 of 81 degrees. Let's call this expression E. So, the first step is to group the terms as follows. Now, if we look at the values of the arguments of tangents, we see that we have 9, 27, 63, and 81. 9 and 81 added together gives us 90 degrees, which is a beautiful number to see in trig problems. And the same thing is true for 27 and 63. So we group the terms like this. Tangent of 9, 10 of 9, plus 10 of 81, minus 10 of 27, plus 10 of 63. But what does tangent stand for? Well, it's the ratio of sine and cosine. That means that our expression will become sine of 9 over cosine of 9 plus sine of 81 over cosine of 81 minus sine of 27 over cosine of 27 plus sine of 63 over cosine of 63. We know that those are degrees. I'm not going to say that every time that I use sine and cosine. So we are getting a common denominator. We are amplifying the first ratio with cosine of 81, the second with cosine of 9, sine of 27 over cosine of 27 with cosine of 63, and the last ratio with cosine of 27. And we'll get sine of 9 times cosine of 81 plus cosine of 9 times sine of 81 all over cosine of 9 times cosine of 81 minus sine of 27 times cosine of 63 plus sine of 63 times cosine of 27 all over cosine of 27 times cosine of 63. Now, if you take a closer look at the thing on top of the fraction line, we see that's the formula for sine of a plus b, which is equal to sine of a times cos of b plus cos of a times sine of b. In our case, a is equal to 9 and b is equal to 81. The same thing for the other fraction. By using this property into our expression, we get sine of 9 plus 81 over cosine of 9 times cosine of 81 minus sine of 27 plus 63 over cosine of 27 times cosine of 63. 9 plus 81 is equal to 90. Sine of 90 gives us 1. The same thing for the other. And in the end, we'll get 1 over cosine of 9 times cosine of 81 minus 1 over cosine of 27 times cosine of 63. Now, where to go from here? Well, if you take a closer look at the denominator, we see that we have complementary angles. That's the same thing as saying the sum of the angles is equal to 90 degrees. So what do we know about these angles? Well, one property that these complementary angles have is that cosine of 90 degrees minus x is equal to sine of x, where x is an angle measured in degrees. By substituting x being equal to 9 in our expression, we get that cosine of 81 will be equal to sine of 9 degrees, as well as if we substitute x being equal to 27, we get that cosine of 63 will be equal to sine of 27. Now, using this fact, in our equation, we get 1 over cosine of 9 times sine of 9 minus 1 over cos 27 times sine 27. Now, this thing from the denominator looks almost exactly as the double angle identity for sine, which tells us that sine of 2x is equal to twice the product of sine of x and cosine of x. Well, to get this in our expression, we have to multiply and divide our equation by 2. And we'll get 2 all over 1 over 2 times sine of 9 times cosine of 9 minus 1 over 2 times cos of 27 times sine of 27, which will be equal to 2 all over 1 over sine of 18, which is 2 times 9, minus 1 over sine of 54, which is 2 times 27. Now, sine of 54, by using the complementary angles identity, we discussed that it's equal to cosine of 90 minus 54, which will be equal to cosine of 36. And you may ask yourselves, why do we use cosine of 36 instead of sine of 54? Well, because 36 is closer to 18 than 54 is, and actually 36 is 2 times 18. We already know the identities of the double angles, and it will be easier to work with this. So we substitute this into our equation, and we get 2 times 1 over sine of 18 minus 1 over cosine of 36. Get a common denominator, and our answer will be cosine of 36 minus sine of 18 over sine of 18 times cosine of 36. Now we are going to use the same trick that we used in the last trig video. The link is in the description. We multiply and divide the whole expression by 2 times cosine of 18 over 2 times cosine of 18. And you will see immediately why we do that. So we get 4 times cosine of 18 all over cosine of 36 minus sine of 18 over 2 times sine of 18 times cos of 18 times cosine of 36 degrees. Now, if you take a closer look at the first two terms of the denominator, we see that the sine of 2 times 18, which is sine of 36 degrees, and our expression will be equal to 4 times cosine of 18 all over cosine of 36 minus sine of 18 all over sine of 36 degrees times cosine of 36 degrees. Well, this is almost the double angle identity for sine of 2 times 36, but we are missing a 2, so we are going to multiply and divide the whole expression by 2, and we'll get 8 times cosine of 18 all over cosine of 36 minus sine of 18 all over 2 times sine of 36 cos of 36 is equal to sine of 2 times 36, which is 72 degrees. Now, where from here? Well, I told you in the beginning that we are going to use the trig properties a lot. So sine of 72 degrees is equal to cosine of 90 minus 72 degrees, which is equal to cosine of 18 degrees, if you believe it. So sine of 27, that's equal to cosine of 18. The cos from the top with cosine from the bottom cancel each other out. And in the end, we get 8 times cosine of 36 minus sine of 18 minus sine of 18. Now, earlier, I told you that we want cos of 36 because we can turn it into 18 degrees. So let's do that. And we get 8 times cos of 36 degrees is equal to cosine squared of 18 minus sine squared of 18 minus sine of 18. And now let's turn all the terms into sine of 18. We know that sine squared of x plus cosine squared of x is equal to 1. So cosine squared of x will be equal to 1 minus sine squared of x. And we use this into our expression, and we'll get 8 all over 1 minus sine squared of 18 minus sine squared of 18 and minus sine of 18. After simplification, we get 8 all over 1 minus sine of 18 minus 2 times sine squared of 18 degrees. And now what? We simplified it as far as we can. The question is now, what's the value of sine of 18 degrees? Well, here is where the geometry kicks in. For us to find the sine of 18 degrees, we have to take a look at the right triangle in which we have an angle of 18 degrees. And for simplification, we consider the hypotenuse to be equal to 1. And to find the sine of 18 degrees, we have to find the length of this side. Let's call it x over 2. Why x over 2? Because we are going to complete the picture by rotating this whole triangle by 180 degrees. And we get another right triangle with 18 degrees, hypotenuse being equal to 1, and the opposite side of 18 degrees being equal to x over 2. X over 2 plus x over 2 gives us x. So we know this sine derivative is equal to x. And the question is now, how can we find the value of x? We know that this angle is equal to 72 degrees. This angle is equal to 72 degrees. So it's an isosceles triangle. Now, by bisecting this angle, for example, we are getting 36 degrees here and 36 degrees here. This angle will be equal to 72 degrees. And we now see that this triangle over here, this triangle that I marked with red, is an isosceles triangle. That means that this side length is equal to this side length and will be equal to x. Well, now, if you take a closer look at the other triangle that remained, at this triangle, we see that this is also an isosceles triangle. We have an angle of 36. 18 plus 18 is also 36 degrees. So that means that this side length must be equal to this side length, which will be equal to x. That means that the remaining length of this side will be equal to 1 minus x. And why did we do all this work for nothing? Well, it's not for nothing, actually. Now, if you look at our big triangle, which was an isosceles triangle with angle 72 degrees, and 36, with side lengths 1, 1, and x, and the red triangle that we marked, which was also an isosceles triangle with angle 72 degrees, 72, and 36, with side lengths x, x, and 1 over x, and 1 minus x, we see that those two are proportional to each other. So that means that, this means that 1 over x will be equal to x over 1 minus x. And we are going to find the value of x from here. By cross multiplying, we get 1 minus x being equal to x squared. Moving all the terms to the left hand side, we get x squared plus x minus 1 being equal to 0. This is a quadratic equation. We're going to use the quadratic formula, and we get that x1 and 2 will be equal to -1 plus or minus the square root of 1 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 1 all over 2 times 1, which will be equal to negative 1 plus or minus the square root of 1 plus 4 will be equal to 5, so the square root of 5 all over 2. We know that x must be greater than 0 because we are talking about measuring things and the measure cannot be negative. So from those two, we can conclude that x must be equal to square root of 5 minus 1 over 2. Now, going back to our original triangle, we had our right angle triangle with angle 18 degrees, 72 degrees, hypotenuse being equal to 1, and the opposite side of 18 being equal to x over 2, which will be the square root of 5 minus 1 over 4. So sine of 18 degrees, in the end we get that's equal to square root of 5 minus 1 over 4 all over 1 over the hypotenuse, which will be equal to square root of 5 minus 1 over 4. And that's how we find the value of sine of 18 degrees. Now, with this value, we go back in our simplified expression, and we get that E was equal to 8 all over 1 minus sine of 18 minus 2 times sine squared of 18 degrees. By substituting this into our simplified expression, we get 8 all over 1 minus square root of 5 minus 1 over 4 minus 2 times square root of 5 minus 1 over 4 all squared, which will be equal to 8 all over 1 minus square root of 5 over 4 plus minus gives us a plus 1 over 4 minus 2 times square root of 5 whole squared gives us square root of 5 squared gives us 5 minus 2 times square root of 5 plus 1 over 4 squared, which is equal to 16. 2 and 16 cancels to an 8, and we'll get 8 all over 1 minus square root of 5 over 4 plus 1 over 4 minus 5 with an 1 gives us 6, so minus 6 over 8, and minus 2 square root of 5 with a negative sign in front gives us positive 2 root 5 over 8. A 2 and a 8 cancel to a 4, so we'll get plus square root of 5 over 4, which cancels with the negative square root of 5 over 4. 6 and an 8 cancels to 3 over 4. And our final answer will be 8 all over 1 plus 1 over 4 minus 3 over 4, which will be equal to 8 all over 1 minus 2 over 4, which simplifies to 1/2. 1 minus a half is equal to a half, so 8 times 1/2, which will be equal to 4. And that's our final answer. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe so you can see more of these crazy trigonometric videos. And that's it. Take care.